play this game. New game. Broken Sword, Shadow of the Templars, Director Scott.
Paris. City of love, romance, and dreams. So they say. I used to say it too. But ever since that day, the day of the murder, I've always associated my beloved Paris with death. I was at home having a bath when my editor called.
Collard, get your ass over to the Palais Royal now. You got an interview. With Pierre Carchon. Yes, the Pierre Carchon. No photos, so leave your gear at home. He asked for you personally. Don't ask me why. Anyhow, this could be big, so if he makes a pass, don't forget. Just smile, say yes, and keep taking notes.
So charming and so very apt. Pierre Carchon was a media king, a national hero, and one of the most infamous adulterers in Europe. He and his wife Imelda were just one step down from royalty. Whoa, I hate mimes, but unless you humor them, they don't go away. Here I was, the palace of the Media King and the Ice Queen. I pressed the doorbell and set in motion a chain of events which would change my life forever.
Yes? What is it?
Madame, my name is Nico Collard. I'm here to see Monsieur Carchon.
Come up, we're on the first floor.
Madame Carchon, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, I'm sure.
The Ice Queen was certainly living up to her reputation. Will you be staying for the interview?
Mademoiselle, I know little of my husband's business affairs, and I care even less. I certainly have no intention of watching him pore over yet another pretty little journalist.
Pretty? You're too kind, madame.
The talented and very beautiful Mademoiselle Collard. Such a pleasure to meet you at last.
Monsieur Carchon, I am honored.
Oh, I'm sure you are.
Call me Pierre, please. But I do not flatter you idly. I was a friend of your father. He was a great man.
My father, he never mentioned.
He and I were very close. And then his death. So tragic. I must... Imelda, your damned cat's in my study again. Another Ming vase, I suppose. Excuse me for one moment, my dear girl.
You journalists are getting younger each year.
Perhaps it's the rest of the world getting older, madame. That was no cat. My God, what? Monsieur Carchon!
He's dead. I must call the police. You'd better stay here.
There was a man. It was the mime. Do you think he...
Well, I believe we can rule out suicide, don't you?
No wonder they called her the Ice Queen. She would have been top of my list of suspects if I hadn't seen the attacker myself. And if I hadn't come across a couple of murders just like this already. One of the most important men in Europe murdered. And here was I, Nico Coulard, alone at the scene of the crime. Should I wait for the cops? Or start my own investigation? It was a no-brainer.
You must start your own investigation. Let's see this then. Man, excuse me. Let's investigate this man.
Mimes and guns don't usually go together, but I had an idea that this was no ordinary mime. I'd come across this murderer before and written about him. At least that's what I'd called him. Some people hate searching corpses for clues. Me, I'm okay with it. Reminds me of an old boyfriend. In his pocket, I found a ticket stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. Taking the ticket meant I'd tampered with the evidence. Carchon. It was a boat ticket stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. When I was a little girl, Papa used to take me on the Bateau Mouche as a treat. It was a boat ticket.
What are you doing to his eyes? What's in his nose?
I closed his eyes. It was the least I could do for the poor fellow. I opened his eyes. Best to leave the crime scene as I found it. I closed his eyes. It was the least I could do for the poor fellow.
So, if you stay open, then you're gonna get a bad ending.
The bookcase was filled with obscure first editions.
Obscure. That sounds familiar. What's this?
A bust of Pierre Carchon, humble servant of La France.
You have own best in own room, you idiot. How can you run?
A small round piece of glass had been cut out of the pane. This was a professional job. The killer must have used a ladder to reach the window. He was long gone. Guess he folded that ladder up, popped it in his pocket and...
Let's go in that room.
The police could turn up at any minute. Somewhere there were clues to the murder, and I needed to find them.
How about here?
A Louis XIV table with an antique cloth. But hey, with a husband that...
What's this?
I reckoned that cloth might just turn out to be useful. Even my fingernail wouldn't fit into such a small hole. A medieval pageant. Original. The tapestry must have cost a fortune. Imelda had talent, but I certainly wasn't going to tell her. It was a tube of acrylic paint. French ultramarine. Just the color I was after for my bathroom.
I'm sorry, I have to go. Someone is...
Young lady, what are you doing? Oh, this paint. It's my favorite color.
For God's sake, keep the damn stuff.
So this is the wife of killed man. She suspects that she has to do something. It's gonna come. No. Let's talk with that lady.
There was no one I needed to phone. Excuse me, madame.
Yes?
I am so sorry for your loss, madame.
No, you're not. You're a journalist.
Not true.
We should...
How did your husband know my father?
I have no idea.
You didn't know him?
Pierre knew...
Why did your husband send for me? What did he want?
I have no idea. His business was his business.
He never told you anything.
No. And frankly, I preferred it that way.
Why would a mime want to kill your husband?
Pierre had plenty of enemies. Half the husbands in Paris for a start. This is quite a scoop for you. I suppose you're already inventing the headlines.
Just because I am a journalist.
Don't patronize me. You're all cut from the same cloth. Do you have any moral sense at all?
Go to hell.
I certainly don't let it get in the way of a good story.
I admire your loyalty to your profession.
The police will be here soon, madame. Is there anybody you would like me to contact? Family, friends?
No, I have no family. Pierre and I were... He was all I had, really. Not much, was the dutiful wife. That was my role.
I know one thing, madame.
What?
If you want to find out who killed your husband, then you let me do the job.
Why? How do I know I can trust you?
Because you have no choice. The police will take weeks, in which time your own life may be in danger.
What?
Believe me, this killer has struck before, and he will strike again. Who is to know that you are not next on his list?
I don't know.
All I need is a few more minutes to look around before the police come.
I think perhaps you do have a moral sense. Of sorts. You're not a very good liar, Nico Collard. And I share your low opinion of the police. Here, take this. It's the key to the drawing room next to the library at the end of the hall. It was Pierre's room.
Fuck you.
Thank you.
I have key for your drawer.
A magnificent antique table.
Take a look at the table. What is this? Take this key and put it inside.
It wouldn't fit.
Why? Okay, then I'll open this safe. Open this safe. What's that key for? Maybe there's another one. Oh yeah, really?
The door was locked. Now we were getting somewhere.
Take this.
As expected, the desk was yet another priceless antique. Yawn. The blotter and in tray had clearly been I didn't need a sheet of blotting. My heart skipped a beat. It had been made, I knew for certain, carved into so caution. I decided to take the carved out. The paint would have just soaked into the blotting paper, but the idea was good. No. I'd spread blue paint over the bottom of the tray. It was ruined. I was a very bad girl, but also quite a clever one. No. No.
Why did you spill that?
I didn't need a sheet of blotting paper. Not while it was
I
blank.
know what I need to do. I need to put this
No. No.
So why did they spill that crap
painting showed the Cachons together, in love. As the poet said, the past is a different Or did I read that in a fortune cookie? The painting was attached firmly to... This wasn't the time for me to lie on this sofa, though it is very... No. No.
Where's his safe?
Locked. Not surprising, really. It didn't work, but I guess it would have been surprising if it had.
And I'm gonna save the game because I gotta go. And see you guys in the next episode of Broken Sword.